Hey y'all, so this is my Bible breakdown part 4 in the book of Job in Jesus Christ's name. I will be doing chapters 20 through 26 on today. So in chapter 20, Zophar replies to Job, referring back to what he said in chapter 19. And he was still speaking to Job as if he sinned, right? He said in verse 7, the heaven will expose his guilt and the earth will rise up against him. He even mentioned in verse 27, such as the fate God allots the wicked, the heritage appointed for them by God. So he basically was telling Job, what you're dealing with is consequences to what you did. And you're basically feeling God's wrath. But when we refer back to the previous chapters, we know that Job didn't do anything, right? In Jesus Christ's name, we know Job was upright, blameless, shunned evil in Jesus Christ's name. And most importantly, he feared God, right? So in chapter 21, Job tells Zophar, he's not complaining to a human. So why shouldn't he be impatient? Job basically said what he said because he himself didn't know why he was suffering that much. Yet his friends found it just for him to suffer. Like, Job, you're suffering because of what you did. You're suffering because of consequences. Yet Job was just like, I don't know why I'm going through what I'm going through in Jesus Christ's name. So in verse 22, Eliphaz tries to say Job's suffering is attached to him not being a person who gives to people. So Job 22, verse 4 through 5, is it for your petty that he rebukes you and brings charges against you? Is not your wickedness great? Are your sins endless? Are not your sins endless? Sorry. Job 22, verse 7, you gave no water to the weary and you withheld food from the hungry. So Eliphaz basically believes everything Job was dealing with was due to how wicked and sinful he was. And he emphasized, like, you didn't give to the hungry. You weren't there for the fatherless. Like, he continued and he was just going in on Job and just telling Job what he did not do, right? Chapter 23, at that point, Job basically feels like he can't hear God and that God is no longer with him. Job said that the Lord has carried a decree against him. Yet he still had fear for the Lord and did not charge God with any wrongdoing. In chapter 24, Job is continuing to plead his case. And in chapter 25, Bildad and Eliphaz are speaking to Job in an insulting way. In chapter 25, verse 4, he says, how can a mortal be righteous before God? How can one born of a woman be pure? In chapter 26, Job stated to them, what advice you have offered to one without wisdom, and what great insight you have displayed. Who has helped you to utter these words? And whose spirit spoke from your mouth, right? In Jesus Christ's name. So Job just realizes that after all this, his friends are speaking against him and saying things that are false and that are not true against his character. In Jesus Christ's name. I love you guys. And this is the end of part 4.